Good evening, YouTube family. Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you with some more lake breakdowns. We were talking about Lake Bridgeport. We need to finish it up. We need to talk about the offshore hotspots that are out there on that lake. So we'll see what we can cover in the first video. This one might take two videos to go through. There are quite a few different offshore hotspots that I think you can look at on this lake. So it looks like it has lots of opportunities. So let's go through those. We'll start kind of on the same zones that we did with the Google Earth waypoints, so I don't confuse you guys too much. So zone one, we'll start kind of on the east side of the lake. We'll make that zone one and see how much we can get done as we move towards the west side of the lake. And probably going to have at least two videos here for the offshore hotspots. So, anyways, let's not delay. Let's jump in this thing. Here we go. Lake Bridgeport, offshore hotspots, zone one. Hi. If you missed the first videos on the Google waypoints, Lake Bridgeport is actually northwest of the DFW area. So I said it was northwest of Fort Worth, really more than just DFW. DFW area would be kind of be in here, and this would be more Fort Worth area. So it's way up here, not way up there, but a little bit further up to the northwest. So let's go ahead and start here. We're going to talk about what I will call zone one. So what we'll do is we'll start right here at this point, very similar to what we did with the Google Earth waypoints. And then we're going to work our way down and just see how far down we can get here and try to work our way back up. That'll be for zone one. And then zone two, we'll start wherever we have to leave off, and then we'll work our way over on this side. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start right here at this point, kind of midway through the lake. And you know, the thing that I really like about this, and you guys know me, I really like those drop-offs, right? To where I can get those really steep drop-offs. Those are typically really good places. And the thing that's really good about this area is, one, you have a pretty flat top, you know, about 10 to 15 foot on the top flat. But right here, you've got some really steep drop-offs. So I would imagine that in this area somewhere is probably going to be more of your hotspot. Now, a lot of this stuff also depends on wind and things like that as far as where you need to set up. But I can definitely see this being a good spot in the summer, in the winter, pretty much a lot of times during the year. Now, a lot of these docks over here are pretty deep as well. So, I mean, you've got some 30-foot docks out here, and those are always fun to fish when you get in some deep docks. And a lot of times you'll find brush piles and stuff like that in them as well. So just maybe go down that bank line of those docks because it is so steep, and just scan around and see if you see an activity, you know, and then if you do, definitely would want to fish in that area. So then let's kind of move on down. I didn't see too much going on in this area from a contour perspective. I mean, this looks kind of interesting here, but the top of it's pretty deep, about 24 foot. But I did like this area over here. You can see where it gets some pretty sharp contour lines right in this area. So right off the edge, right in here. And this looks like you're probably going to have some kind of a, I don't know what this is. Maybe it's just a buoy, or I thought it was some kind of a marking saying we couldn't get back in there, but I guess you're okay. There's just a no wake area right there. But check out that point right there, right where that break is, and see if that's helpful to you guys. All right, so then moving on down the bank line, you know, really good contours, really deep docks as well. You got some really deep docks in here, 24, 25 feet. That one dock I looked at earlier was in like 30 feet. So all of the dock fishing on this lake appears to be, at least from just looking at it from a map standpoint, it looks like it could be some pretty good fishing. And then also when you get out here from the offshore spot, sorry about that, guys. When you get out here from the offshore spot, look out here right off of this point. This is a really good looking point with a really shallow top, about 12 feet on top. Breaks down a little bit more out here, but it does make a pretty well-defined point. So check out in here, and then also check out the area up in here, wherever it is on that point that we talked about on Google Earth, where pretty much it goes from the, you know, the sandy and the muddy type bottom to where all of a sudden you see where that break is. Where that break is probably going to be your hot spot, and it typically is not going to show up on here too well. That break could be way out here though, but we'll see. But definitely look up in here and just see if there's something up there, and maybe it's not showing up on Navionics. Maybe it's not as obvious of a contour break. So again, going down this bank line, you've got some really steep stuff going on here. Like right here, if you look really closely, you've got kind of a little shallow top here, 6 feet, and then it just starts plummeting. I mean, it goes 6 to 18, you know, drops really fast. So if I bring it back to here, you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just really quick. So check out those places like that, anywhere where you get those really steep drops. Again, you got some deep docks down in here as well. Got a pretty decent point here, but I don't see any major drop offs here. And again, this point's a pretty deep point as well. Got some deep docks back in here as well that you could check out. And I'm just going to keep on moving down here until we get to our next point. So I came out here, I looked at these points, all of these points are good, but none of them make a really good point. So I didn't want to mark anything there to mislead you, but I know if we go down here, we're going to start seeing some more points. So I'm going to skip this little section here. Not saying these aren't good areas, because there definitely could be some good areas in here. I just didn't see anything from a contour perspective that really caught my eye. Now, the one thing I did like was this right here. But again, I didn't mark it because it's so deep. It's basically a 24-foot flat that's out there making a little point. Now, that could be good possibly in the summertime, so don't discount things like that. I mean, obviously, it's totally different than everything around here, and it definitely has a high spot. So if it has a high spot, it probably has breaks on each side. It just depends on if they're that deep. And a lot of that's going to depend on water clarity, the thermocline, all that stuff. So when you start getting that deep, to me, it gets a little bit trickier. So I typically don't go out that far. But again, don't discount that spot. That could be a decent little spot that just actually moved over and didn't really think about. So now when we get down here by this island, though, we start getting into some better fishing. So when I'll show you this here, you can kind of see, I say it's an island, I guess. Yeah, it is an island. So you've got a really nice flat top right in here. And you'll hear people talk about fishing in this saddle. And this one doesn't make a really good saddle, but you can kind of see it right here. So right in this area would be a decent place to look. And I know that seems like a weird spot, but check out that little spot because that's kind of where it starts making a saddle right there. This can also be good topwater spots as well. So getting back behind that island and finding where that flat is and then doing top waters over the top of it, that can be as effective as well. And then if you want to go deep, more for offshore type stuff, which that's still offshore, you're out there fishing off the flat, you're pretty far off the bank. But up here, you could get around this island and find where the bigger drops are around the island. That's going to be your more effective area. Not saying that they're not going to be all around this island, but definitely on this side where this bigger break is probably going to be your more opportune area to find them. So then moving on down here, didn't see too much going along that bank line. It gets kind of shallow up in here, so you got to be careful. Some pretty decent breaks and contours and things like that, but nothing really that really shocks me here. Now, what would interest me is what happens between this area right here and right here, because there's something major going on there, and I don't know if that's a creek channel or what, but it'd be worth going over and scanning and just seeing, is there really that big of a break where this is like 1 to 2 foot and then all of a sudden you're in 30 foot? And if it is, then you've got a really major break going on there, and that would definitely be worth taking a look at. So we get back in here, there was somebody that marked like a fishing and diving hotspot. And then if I get down in here, there really wasn't anything from an offshore standpoint. Now, when I get over on this point, though, this looks like a good area. Notice how you've got some shallower water, I guess you could say, up in here, and then you've got some pretty good breaks going on along this edge of this point. All those areas look really good. It looks like you've got some really good drop-offs. It's probably similar to what we were kind of seeing on the Google Earth side, so definitely take a look at this. I like how this point sets up too. It's kind of coming off the main lake, and then you're getting a point that's kind of set out there. So that point's going to get a lot more wind, a lot more activity, things like that. So definitely check out that point for sure. Then moving down in here, I just marked a couple other spots. Although this is shallow, we can kind of still get offshore here. And I thought this was really a really good area to take a look at. And that was right in here. So you kind of see where there's a creek channel going on. And if you look, you kind of got a little point that comes out right here. 7 foot on the top of it, has a decent little break that goes down to 12 foot. So it's only about a 5 foot break. It's nothing like what we were seeing out there main lake, but that's a really good area. You've got a really good break there. You've got a little bit of a turn, so a little bit of a creek channel bend as well. So I would for sure go out and check that out. And then when you're there, if that's good and they're feeding up on the top of that or something like that, or maybe you need to go a little bit deeper, you can always push over to this one. It's kind of similar. You've got, not sure where that creek channel is. We'd have to go look at the Google Earth thing, but you can tell there's some type of a creek channel or something going on here. At least you've got a high spot here. So 12 foot. And then when you get out here, it actually goes a little bit deeper to 8 foot. So your break's going to be on this side. It's going to be coming off this. So even though I marked here, check this right in here. Your ridge is actually right on this side. And you're gonna have the same thing on this side too. So it's 12 foot on top, and then you got a ridge that falls down to 18 foot. So you got a 6-foot break on both sides of that point. So definitely take a look at that area. All right, so then moving on up, I'm gonna keep moving. Got some pretty good stuff here, decent little points with some good breaks, some little underwater stuff that looks decent, but I really like this spot right here. Now, what I like about it is you got this huge flat, so you got basically like a 6-foot flat that goes across this whole thing, which that's always good as well, especially come springtime. Those are great flats to get up into, and if there's grass up in there, it could even be a good time to fish pretty much year round. So, but if you're fishing there, if you back off just a little bit, and this is probably, again, what we were seeing on the Google Earth waypoints, is there's a ridge that's just outside of that. So here's your flat, and then here's your ridge. So if they're not feeding up on the flat, pull back and check out this ridge. See if you can find exactly where that ridge is, and they're probably hugging up against it or pretty close to it. And that's some pretty decent water too. Once you get out here, you're in about 20 foot of water. So they can go from 6 foot to 20 foot pretty quickly. So those are always good areas to take a look at. Then I'm going to keep on moving over here. We're going to move around this point. Let me back up a little bit, show you guys where I'm at. I'm way down here on the south end of the lake. So I'm going to come over here. We talked about that little spot right there where they can drop off. So we're going to move over here around the edge of that point, and you'll notice right in here, there's a little deep spot. See where it's 18 foot? And it's weird because it's not here. Like you have 6 foot and then to 18 foot. So yeah, you have a drop in here, but your real significant drop, at least the one that's showing up on the map the best where your ledge is actually out here. So you would set up on the ledge on this side. So you've got a high spot here at 11 foot, and then it goes to 18 foot, and then it gradually goes back up, back into 6 foot. So your ledge is actually on this side. So if you were pulling up on it, if they were gonna feed off the ledge per se, more than likely they're gonna feed this way, right? They're gonna come up this way. So they're gonna set on the ledge when they want to feed. They're gonna come out here and feed on this ledge that's out here that's at 11 feet, as opposed to turning around and going the other way, which most of us would fish off the edge of this point, dragging it this way. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys explain something there, kind of a different way to look at the map and a different way to set up your boat, because that's definitely a good example of how boat positioning could really make you succeed or fail in that area pretty easily. All right, so then I'm going to move on over here to the other side. This is kind of getting on the southwest side, very, very far southwest side. Right here, I just marked this for you because this is one of those pinch areas that we talk about all the time. Anywhere where you can get an area where it kind of pinches it all together, but you still get really good depth. It definitely gives the bass a good area to set up and to ambush bait and things like that. So this is a really good pinch point right here. You can see the tops of these are only like 6 to 7 feet, 12 feet, something like that. So fairly shallow. And then all of a sudden you've got some major breaks right there in the middle. So if I zoom in, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. This is the top, right? 6 to 7 feet, and then it breaks to 14. Same thing over here, 6 to 7 feet, and then it breaks to 12 to 14. So there's probably riprap and stuff like that around here as well, but these are always good areas to take a look at, and pretty much kind of a year-round thing. I mean, they typically set up in there for the most part of the year. There are certain times of the year where they won't be there, but for the most times of the year, they'll be on these things. This is the same type deal up here. You see where you've got the same thing. You don't have as good of a top as we had on the other one, but again, someone's put a fishing mark there. So again, that's a good little pinch point going in there. Now, if I keep moving up here and I get to this side, I really like how this sets up. So it kind of comes in and makes like a really good curve right there. And then it also makes like almost like a little point, but there's definitely a break going on in there. So if I zoom in a little bit closer, you'll see it. But see how it's really shallow and you got a major break, but then it's kind of shallow over here too. So there's something going on right there on that corner. So take a look at that corner. That can be a good spot as well. And then I'm going to keep moving up, and let's see where we're at here. We're going to probably keep moving and try to get up to about right here, and then we'll finish up this video. But let's keep moving up, and we'll continue saying that this is zone 1. So when we get up here along this side, I believe this is the same area that I was talking to you guys about, because there was a ramp there and I remember this area, but there's a really good break going on the outside of this. So you've got a pretty good flat that's way up here. You can see it's shallow, 4 to 6 feet. Again, if there's grass or hydrilla or anything like that in there, this is probably another good area to go and kind of poke around and see what you can find. But definitely get out here off the bank. So get off the bank from where it goes 4 foot to basically 30 foot. So right in this area where you see these points, and you'll notice when I zoom out here, you got a couple different points that I marked here. I marked one here and one here. You've definitely got a break, so they could be anywhere on this break, but the high percentage areas on these breaks are going to be where it makes those points or where it makes the little indentions. So I've marked the two little points, like the significant points, but don't be scared to look in these little curve ins. And I think there's actually a name for that from the bass, proper term from the bass community, and I can't remember it for the life of me right now. But take a look at those little indentions where it curves in as well, because sometimes those can be really good areas to look at too, other than just the points. All right, so I'm going to keep moving up. We're going to scoot on around, and this is where we get out here to where that horse thing is, Horse Island and Rattlesnake Island. And when I got out here, I was pretty excited. I figured this island was probably going to show some pretty good stuff, and it's got some pretty good breaks going off the edges, and you've got I guess somewhat of a flat here. It's a flat at like 18 feet, so it'd be I guess maybe a decent place to look in the summertime, but the rest of the time it's going to be kind of a tough place to look. And some pretty good breaks here, but I didn't really see anything from a largemouth bass standpoint that really would make me say, man, I got to go fish that area. There were some good spots, around here that we marked with Google Earth, some rock piles and transition points. So definitely take a look at those. Out here, possibly, seeing if there's a break in this area. There's another rock pile that's out here as well where they put a fishing diving hotspot. So definitely go there and look as well. And I'd imagine pretty much anywhere around this island, being that it's a main lake type island, it's going to have fish. This could be the same type thing though as what I was seeing on Levon. I don't know if you guys have white bass in this lake or not, but that could be a really high percentage area for white bass too. So it kind of makes that a little bit more difficult to find the largemouth, at least for me. So then moving over here to the west side, coming off the top of that island, I really like this area right in here. So you got the top of the hump, and we talked about this hump in Google Earth waypoints too. It's got some pretty good rock and things like that on it. And you've got pretty decent breaks around the island. This is a little more gradual, but look at this side. This side's got a really sharp break, 9 feet to 30 feet. It's very sharp. So check out this side of the island. And again, kind of a wind dependent type thing, but typically this is probably going to be your higher percentage side for your island to be catching those fish. All right, so I'm going to keep moving down. I didn't see too much down in these areas, just a kind of shallow area of flooded timber. So definitely go take a look at that Google Earth waypoint video. That should help you. But if we're looking offshore, I kind of like this area right over here. So first off, don't overlook areas like this one right here. So it's not as obvious as this hump. Obviously this it sticks out, right? You can see it like a sore thumb. If an average fisherman, maybe not average fisherman, but maybe more advanced fisherman that's kind of learning the maps and things like that, they would be able to find this pretty quickly, this hump. So that there's gonna be people out there checking out this hump. But a lot of people will just kind of overlook maybe this area right in here because it's maybe just not as obvious, but it actually has its own hump right here. So 7 to 8 feet, you've got some pretty good breaks on both sides. So don't overlook these places. Sometimes these can be better places right here where it's kind of still connected all together, as opposed to getting out here and fishing for them out here. And it can work vice versa. This could be your hotspot today, and tomorrow your hotspot could be over here. So check out both of them while you're there and see if either one of those can produce you some fish. And then I'm going to keep moving up. We're getting back up here close to the halfway point. So let me just take you guys up to the edge of this island, see if we have anything up here on the edge of this island, and then we'll wrap up this video and we will use the rest of it for zone 2. So we'll kind of stay in the same pattern that we had for the Google Earth waypoints video, but I think on the next video we'll be able to wrap this one up. So anyways guys, I hope this really helps you. Please make sure you go out to simplisticfish.square.site, get your digital files. It has all these waypoints on them for you. Plus it has all the waypoints for the Google Earth stuff. So you've got hundreds of waypoints for this lake to check out, all with really good descriptions. You've got your offshore hotspots here as well. So you got a lot of good stuff out there. And then I'll continue to give you guys helpful tips and tricks on how to fish these lakes here in North Texas and what we've had success in with the THSBA angling as well as just personal fishing and things like that. So, anyways, guys, really appreciate the support. Hope this helps you out a ton, and I look forward to talking to you again for our Zone 2 part for Lake Bridgeport for the offshore hotspots. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB.